dating generally has become kind of a scary thing. And what I find is that there are three basic options here at Boston College. Maybe you can talk about this during the discussion. There's the married couples. Everybody kind of knows them. They've been dating for a long time. Most of the freshmen that I meet, they don't want that. They don't want that. That's kind of scary. They had that in high school. They don't want that. The married thing is too constraining. You don't have any freedom. My mother doesn't want me to get involved in that yet. I need to get out and get my career in order. So there's that. Everybody's kind of scared of it, but those people kind of seem happy. But, well, we can't, I don't know about them. Then we've got this other situation called the hooking up situation, which I used to think was more myth than reality, and now I'm beginning to think might actually be more reality than myth, I'm afraid. But then there's a third alternative, which I actually think most students are involved in, and that's just opting out. The whole thing seems just a little too scary, a little too fragile, a little too vulnerable, so I'd rather just not get involved at all. And it seems to me that most of the students that I talk to are saying, yeah, they're doing mostly the third one with a little bit of number 2 thrown in, just cause. And so I wonder, what can this mean? What does the opting out thing mean? And I know that I opted out for many years because it's scary to put yourself out there. It's scary to make yourself vulnerable. It's scary to ask somebody out on a date. I hear from the guys here on campus that it's terrifying to ask a girl out on a date here at BC. Because the girls think, what do you want to marry me? You gonna go to a movie? You know? Or as Father McNellis mentioned last week in his talk, you don't have the luxury of knowing what's expected anymore. And so it's really terrifying. And so it's just easier to just stay out of it. But I just want to suggest in this talk that the resurrection, to me, is proof that you can't opt out of it. Because you can never opt out of God's love. That God's love, as proven in the resurrection, is totally gratuitous. It's totally preposterous, really. I mean, it's unfathomable. It's ridiculous, really, when you think about it. The resurrection was so over the top, if you will. I mean, Christ died, and then he rose, but he didn't have to stick around. And he didn't have to communicate to us that there's something really wonderful, really spectacular about being human, about being in a body, about being a whole person. And that's, to me, what's really communicated in the resurrection. That it is such a joy to have fingernails and hair and arms. And it's great to put them around somebody. And that's what Christ wanted to do. He wanted to be with his friends. And he wanted to share things with them. He didn't want to go and shout it from the rooftops, ha-ha, I won, that's it. I'm the winner, you guys lose, you guessed wrong. I rose from the dead, here I am. He wanted to be with people and to communicate something about what's great about forgiveness, because that's one of the important things that he did also. He forgave Peter, and he helped Peter to forgive him. And he comforted people, and he taught people, and he encouraged them, and he sent them out. And it was a way of seeing Christ in a new way, seeing what his being had become, and that they could see themselves in a new way. And that, to me, is why this has something to do with seeing ourselves in a new way, not in the way that, frankly, our culture asks us to see ourselves. Not in that way. This is a way where we really respect what's sacred in ourselves, where we really respect what's sacred in other people. Not just because God so loved the world that he sent his only Son to become just like us in all ways, but because additionally, after the resurrection, he wanted to communicate to us that we are also very much like God. Not just our souls, but our whole beings. That we're called to be something truly holy and truly beautiful and unified and good. And so for me, that means that you don't want to split parts of your life off anymore. That your whole life is integrated in this, and that it's truly wonderful and spectacular. Not just 50 years out there, once I get to heaven, I've checked off all the things I was supposed to do, I'm going to get there. But here and now, with other people, with people that we love, with people who love us, and figuring out how to learn how to show that. And that's basically my reflection. That opting out of God's love isn't really any kind of an alternative. God's love is too profuse, too wonderful, too spectacular to opt out, to say, nah, I can't participate. And to me, the only response is to turn around and participate in the kingdom of God, which is now, which we're constructing now all the time, with the way that we talk to people, the way that we are friends with people, the way that we show love to each other, and the way that we receive love from each other, in ways that build the kingdom of God in our lives and in other people's lives.